two kids came to the temple for the first time to pray to the gods. Unexpectedly, they blew up all the gods in the temple, and they exploded completely. This scared everyone present. For thousands of years, the gods in the temple had never exploded before. People started to guess that these two kids must have angered the gods, so they forced them to kneel and apologize to the heavenly god. However, when everyone thought this would calm the god's anger, suddenly a powerful divine force came down from the sky. To their surprise, the god himself came to the scene because of this. But when the god entered the temple, his first reaction was to tightly embrace the child's mother. Everyone then realized these two kids were actually the real children of the heavenly god. Originally 7 years ago, the god was about to inherit the supreme position of the heavenly god, but the goddess said, before that, he needed to go down to the mortal world to be tested, and find a suitable woman, who would give birth to a pair of children for him before he could take over. To hide his identity, the god immediately transformed into a beggar, and came to the mortal world to find a suitable woman. He thought it would be hard for a beggar to find a wife, but as soon as he arrived in the human world, he encountered Mr. Zhao forcing his daughter to marry an old man over 70 years old, but Shuer was only 18 years old. If she had to marry an old man, she would rather die. Just as Mr. Zhao was furious about this, he suddenly saw a beggar at the door. To humiliate his disobedient daughter, Mr. Zhao immediately invited the beggar into the Zhao family mansion, and even asked him if he wanted a wife. Before the beggar could respond, his scheming sister pushed Shuer into the beggar's arms. They thought the beggar definitely wouldn't want Shuer, but he said he did. Shuer, to protest her father's demands, was willing to marry the lowly beggar without hesitation. She immediately packed her belongings, left the Zhao family with the beggar. That's how Shuer prepared to live a hard life with the beggar forever, because the beggar had no home. That night, she followed him to the old temple to sleep. She thought she would have to suffer the cold wind all night, but the beggar just waved his hand, and the old temple instantly turned into a luxurious wedding room. Shuer was completely stunned by this. Of course, the god didn't explain anything. Seeing that Shuer was the one he loved, the god quickly drank the wine with her, then immediately went to the bedroom and had children with her. Afterwards, the god told Shuer he had to leave for 7 days. He thought 7 days would pass quickly, but Shuer waited for 7 years and the god still hadn't returned. Despite this, Shuer still believed her husband would come back, so she brought her 2 children and returned to the Zhao family to work, to make a living. Even though the Zhao family looked down on her for marrying a beggar, and having a pair of illegitimate children, they mistreated her in every way, but she could endure everything for the sake of waiting for the god's return. Unbeknownst to her, the god had not broken his promise, because 1 day in heaven is 1 year on earth. At that time, only 7 days had passed in the heavenly realm, since the god completed the task of getting married and having children. The goddess passed the supreme position of the heavenly god to him. He thought the god would stay in the heavenly realm to rule the heavens, but the first thing he did after becoming the god was to go to the mortal world, to bring Shuer and her children to heaven to enjoy happiness. Meanwhile, Shuer's situation, the Zhao family's scheming sister was going to the heavenly temple to pray, hoping the heavenly god would protect the Zhao family from decline. As the offerings for the god were left unattended, the scheming sister made Shuer carry the offerings, and follow her to the heavenly temple. However, what nobody expected was, when Shuer arrived at the heavenly temple with her 2 children, the good fortune child and the maiden who guarded the temple immediately recognized the 2 children as the god's sons. But they were gods. They couldn't appear in front of the children and reveal themselves. They could only watch helplessly. After Mr. Zhao finished praying to the god,